when we're all fighting the same card, there's a great buzz about the gym. It kind of reminds me of like when I first came to SBG on the yellow mats when Conor was making the climb, and Paddy Ash and all of these old, I suppose the old school fighters when they were making the climb, and to be a part of that. And now it's our turn now.
Joining us today is undefeated Bellator Featherweight Ciaran Clarke, who will be back in action at Bellator 185 in Dublin next month. How are you, my friend?
All good, man. Thanks very much for having me on.
Great, man. It's good to see you. We see from your Instagram and all that, you got some camera crews following you around and all that. You starting to get big time now, I could see, huh?
Yeah, he's with me here now. So
Nice.
so it's it's just actually a friend of mine, Jamie Sherry from Manifest Media. He's doing he done a clip on me before, and he's just going to do a documentary style video. So it's going to be good, So I'm looking forward to it. And thanks very much to him. He's putting a lot of time in me, and looking forward to it,
Yeah. And what's it called? Manifest Media, you said?
Yeah, Manifest Media. That's the guy who's doing it, and Jamie Sherry with them. So it's they done a video on me before, so it turned out really, really well, and I was delighted with it. So he got back in touch, and there was a working together again,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sounds awesome, man. Love the idea of that. So let me ask you a quick question right before we get into it. Something I always like to ask the fighters. The last time we saw you in action at Bellator 275, right? What do you make of the fight now as some time has passed? What do you think of it in hindsight?
Yeah, so I had some time to think about it, and initially I didn't know actually what had happened, and it was just a mad situation. I didn't know if he was injured going into the fight. I hadn't a clue, and I didn't really know what happened. But it was actually 2-3 days after. I like to kind of like have two or 3 days where you just completely switch off the socials and just relax. And but it was actually my brother and a friend of mine. They were watching it, and they said, "Come here, have a look at this." And because I didn't know actually what had happened to the shoulder, and they showed me what had happened. So it's something I do. I've done it in previous fights, and it's something I do when I'm on the double leg. I clamp down on when he comes over for the Kimura grip. I clamp down in his grip, and I roll underneath. And basically, if you don't roll with it, or if you try to resist, you're gonna face plant the mat. But actually, what happened to him? I have a recording of it. I probably should put it up, but I didn't want to kind of like go into it too much. I'm kind of just focusing on the next one, of course. But so as I roll through, his shoulder bounces off the mat, and when he gets up off the ground, you can see it straight away that's out of place. And then obviously from there on in, you can see how he fought. Like when he got desperate, jumped onto the guillotine, going for it. And when I went, when we were on the ground, he went for that Kimura, and it was a mounted, and he kept it. You could kind of see, the bit of desperation, obviously because he was in pain, or he knew what had happened to him. So in hindsight, looking back, when it happened at the time, I was like, it was weird. I didn't know how I felt about it. I know win's a win, but it was like, I had lost the round, and I felt I was only getting going because I get out of the Kimura then, and I was landing 1 or 2 strikes, but that was like last 30 seconds, so I didn't get to show, what I was doing, but I felt I had, I took confidence from feeling them on the ground and how the round went into the second, third, that I could take over. But obviously his shoulder, he was in pain, he couldn't continue. So but then like when I look, it was like he didn't slip in a banana peel, or he wasn't injured. It was like me doing it to him, you know what I mean? I had done, the damage, not like as an intentionally trying to like damage the shoulder, if that makes sense. But from what I had, the takedown I had done, so again, still a bit a weird one. I'm looking to get this one past me, and get a win now, hopefully in a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it was something, these things you don't know coming out fresh out of a fight, right? These are things you aren't aware of. So maybe, things that people are going to see that you say after the fight are going to be far different now in hindsight 6 months later, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so that's why I like to ask, because I figure, a lot of stuff could change over just the course of just whether it's watching tape or just seeing how it all played out. But yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the fight that matters, right? The fight that you have coming up now. I got to ask you before we get into it, I feel a little bit obligated because if, you're fighting in Dublin, right? And you have fought there before a few times now, right? But does it still bring a little bit extra juice to the preparation, to the excitement when you're, given that you were born in Ireland, you train in Ireland?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. It definitely does. It's added pressure. It's I have a lot of support coming in from a town called Drogheda here in Ireland, and the whole town's behind me, and not to mention most of the country as well getting behind me. And of course, I'm Irish. I'm coming up against these other lads coming over. They're going to get behind me, and no matter where I'm from, but I've a big support where I'm from in Drogheda. So it's definitely added pressure. Like it's more eyes are on you, and whereas when you're away fighting, it's like, I don't know, you kind of a little bit more relaxed. You're kind of task at hand. But what I will say, there is no better feeling than getting the win when you're in the pressure cooker, and you feel the pressure, and next minute, bang, you get that win. The win is, it's hard to compare, to be honest. So I suppose it's good and bad. And look, I've done it so many times now, and I've fought here, at 12 o'clock at night in amateur shows. I've fought first of the night, I fought last. At the end of the day, the people that matters is going to be there, and I'm in there. I'm doing this for myself as well. But I mean, definitely, it's in the back of your head. Everybody's behind you, and but again, I'm doing well so far. You know what I mean? I've got a few wins in the 3 arena, and I'm feeling good. I haven't had that before, going in off the wins, and experiencing that. This is my 5th fight now in the 3 arena, and I'm feeling I'm getting comfortable with it now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was going to ask you next, is because, like, I feel like no matter how hard something is, right, or how scary or whatever the case may be is, feels like once you've done it once, it's obviously going to be at least for me, it's going to be like at least half as hard the second time. Because that first time for me is just, do you feel that, like, the more times that you compete in a place like Dublin, that it just gets easier and easier? Like, like, screw it, right? You're just walking out now, like, I've done this before. Do you have that kind of mentality now into this fight? Because that's sort of how I think a lot of other people would maybe take that.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, because it's all experience. I mean, you hear it so much when you're amateur. Oh, it's all experience, or win or lose, it's all experience, and you don't want to hear that when you're amateur. And but it actually is. It's like feeling those feelings. No matter the circumstances, whether it be pullouts or first fight of the night, last fight of the night, fighting for belts, or all these things are amateur. World championships, European championships. Different circumstances, and then you go pro, and then I've experienced that so many times. Then as well, I actually, very first professional fight, I was a swing bout in Dublin, in Ireland, and I was supposed to be on a 7:30, I was supposed to be on a 9, and then I was supposed to be on this time and that time, and it was hell, and like, I still went out and got the win, and it was my pro debut, and even experienced things like this, fighting at 12 o'clock, and I was at 12 o'clock, and all my family and friends, some of them had went home and didn't know what was going on, and I was just like, if I can win on this night, the worst night that could have went, and warmed up 3 or 4 times and things like that, and it definitely does prepare you. When you find out, I'm just even knowing now, right? If I'm fighting at 7 o'clock, that's it. That's even a luxury, now. But obviously that's past me now. I'm established well now in Bellator. Don't think that'll happen again. But to have these things, it's definitely, it's good to have it. Good to have it in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly are well established in Bellator. You're 5-0 in the promotion, all professional bouts there, 5-0. Again, that's pretty impressive to me. And let's talk about this matchup, right? Let's get into some of that stuff. What do you make of George Sosa as an opponent? In terms of the skill set that he presents to you, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think he's very good. I think his striking is, I think he's very good striking. He struck with a world kickboxing champion, Ilias, that comes over and back and forth to SBG to train. And, I think Ilias thought he was going to take him down, but my God, he held his own. He did very well, like, I mean, he did switching his stance, he did very, very good. And, I couldn't really find much footage on him, and not that I like dwelling that much. I don't like getting too much into that and focusing on too much what he's doing. But even, like, when you get your opponent announced, you look into them, but I couldn't find too much. And I know he fought a bantamweight before when he was younger, and he had a different style then, and he's wins over guys that is in the UFC now. He's a win over a guy that's in the UFC now, and so he's a good opponent. He's a good challenge. So he's fought in the 3 arena before, I suppose, in hostile territory. Two of us for kind of sizing each other up that event. We kind of, if you're featherweight, you're gonna kind of come up. So I know that much about him, and look, I'm preparing as much as I can, and as I said, I'm focusing on myself more than anything. I'm not thinking about what he's going to do. At the end of the day, the way I've always fought is he's going in there reacting to me, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And throughout your career, you face some tough guys. You face some guys 8-1, 6-1. Do you feel that he will present you with a bigger test than any of the 5 pro bouts that you've had thus far?
Do you know what? I think he definitely can. He definitely has a skill set to. I think he's a 5-2 record, but he's fought good lads. I think he definitely can. I mean, will he be my toughest fight? Time will tell, of course. But even an amateur, I've fought really tough lads that are doing really, really well now, a pro, and so like I've been around the block, put it that way. Like I've had me tough fights. Like even people that have seen me, some of the fights I've had about were tough with Jordan, say, or the people have had those tough fights at amateur, and like people obviously didn't see them or pay attention to them, but I suppose it's thrown around a lot, but battle tested, type of way. So I mean, I'm expecting anything. He looks to be well rounded, and yeah, I'm expecting the best George Sosa now in 7 weeks' time.
Mhm. Yeah, and have you started camp for that yet?
Yeah, definitely have. We got this announced maybe 14, 15 weeks out. So as soon as it gets announced and you sign the contract, for me, it's like, you're switched on to the person, and, for me, that's when it started. It was like, you know, coming down, getting the weight down, training hard. And, obviously when you're going through the motions every day and you're training, getting better and stuff. But as soon as you get that name, it's like, you switch on, you kind of go into fight mode. So you start honing in on what you think you can do well against them. And, the training goes up a notch. And, so that has definitely started, I suppose, 7 weeks ago there now. So obviously I'm not going too hard. You need to take the foot off the gas, that you're not going to get injured and you can peak right. But yeah, no, training hard for this one now coming up.
Yeah. And you might disagree because you seem to be like a humble fighter, but you correct me if I'm wrong. I see a guy with 5 straight wins, right? Undefeated and all at Bellator, right? You get a victory here. Like, why wouldn't you, in my mind, be fighting a ranked opponent next? Like, do you feel that way? I kind of heard you say otherwise because you like to just take it step by step, which I think it's smart, right? But I don't know. I just feel like 6-0, right? Like you would be up there. That's just what I think. But maybe you care
Yeah,
different.
I don't know. As I said, I always say this, and it's probably the worst thing for you that you want to hear. But I just focus on each fight, and I think it's worked for me so far, and it takes that care of itself. That's what I learned amateur as well when I was doing the tournaments. And if you look at the gold medal, you're not looking at the guys you have to beat to get there, and that's what I'm doing at the minute. I'm looking at the guy that's in front of me. Just the fight that's I can focus on. And that's what I'm gonna do. Please God, I get a win. I mean, 6-0 in Bellator, it's great. I'd love to go stateside and get a fight over there now, and or even just another one abroad, or to really, yeah, start getting, fights over there. And I'm obviously established now at Bellator, but I mean, just getting over there, getting the fights in, and climbing the rankings. But as of now, just focusing on what's ahead of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And without looking too far ahead, and I'm not even saying you want it in 1, 2, 3, but do you feel like you're at the level? You train at a great gym, right? SBG Ireland. Do you feel like you're at the level training with these ranked guys in the gym that you can hang with the rest of the top 10, say in the next 2, 3 years? Doesn't have to be right away, of course.
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah. Like I mean, I'm training on a daily basis with like Pedro Carvalho,
Yeah.
Brian Moore. It's a bantamweight there as well. I've trained a lot with James, obviously, when he was here in Ireland, and other ranked Bellator fighters in the gym, Peter Queally, and all these guys. And I know where I am. In the way. So I mean, it's just as far as a career point, I don't want to, I don't want to look too far ahead. Because I just don't believe in it. To be honest, I don't like it. It's and but yeah, don't get me wrong, I've definitely known my level, and when the time comes, I'll get to show it. But as of now, just whoever they give me, I fight. It's I'm here in Bellator now. I don't have to build up to get to here. Or, I'm in Bellator now, and I
True.
just fight in front of me.
Yeah, I get that, absolutely, and I think that's smart, I think and you seem to be especially, like, hyper focused on fight to fight more than a lot of fighters I've spoken to, so I think that could definitely work in your favor for sure, man. I think that's great. So we mentioned the training camp, right? And, you just hinted at, SBG Ireland and all that. What's it like training there? What's it been like improving there as a fighter since you started? Maybe you've been asked that 100,000 times, but I'm just curious to see because it's a very good gym, right? Iron sharpens iron, like, what's that like there?
Oh, it's brilliant, to be honest. Obviously, you have the head coach John there. He's overseeing everything, and obviously his right hand man, Dave Roach, as well. So I mean, every day you're going in, to the pro team sessions, it's you're talking the level. Like I mean, it's like you could be going in there. There could be 50 people on the mat, and all high level, whether it be high level pros from Johnny Walker in the UFC to Brad Katona, that's a world champion, Richie Smullen. I mean, that's Ultimate Fighter contestant, fought in the UFC, Bellator vet. All these guys are bouncing off. Look, Lee Hammond coming up now, and like I mean, those guys killers. You know what I mean? On a daily basis, train with all these guys, and then of course, as I said, getting the guidance from John and getting that coaching. I mean, the way the sessions are done out for us, and we all make it to those sessions. The way, and I think it's a great buzz in the gym as well. Like the likes of Pedro Bryan, all these people, Sinead doing really well, and when we're all fighting the same card, there's a great buzz about the gym. It kind of reminds me of like when I first came to SBG on the yellow mats when Conor was making the climb, and Paddy Ash and all of these old, I suppose the old school fighters when they were making the climb, and to be a part of that. And now it's our turn now. We're all in it together. The way we're all climbing the ranks in Bellator, and you feel that camaraderie, if that makes sense. You feel that team. And when everybody's on the same, has the same date in mind or has the same goal. I mean, we're all on the same road. The way, so it's great. Gyms be buzzing.
Yeah. And you mentioned Bellator, you mentioned camaraderie, team, all that stuff. As far as Bellator, right? Do you see that as a long-term, home for the foreseeable future, at least?
I'm in contract for another year now, definitely. Anyway, so again, not looking too far ahead. I'm just gonna keep taking it as it comes. But as far as Bellator, I mean, I'm very, very happy here. I mean, the way they treat me, getting the 2 cards in Dublin every year. I'd love to get. Could have got one now in the summer, just with different things that didn't go ahead, and I'd love to. As I said, I'd love to go stateside and get a fight over there, and it'd be brilliant to really get over there and get me fight in America, and just to delve into that other side of things, and don't get me wrong, I'm very happy fighting here in Europe, but it's definitely a goal of mine overall, that does fight with Bellator from Europe, and but as far as the treatment they give us, it's brilliant, and they love the Irish. Everybody that we talk to, like the cut team down to the everyone, like they all love the Ireland. Even some of them are telling me they love to move here, so like they really do enjoy coming here. And I don't know if it's the people or us or just the event itself, but it's I think they've a soft spot for us Irish people.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple questions here as we wrap up, man. Thanks for the time. So look, I see that you sort of apply that because I'm fascinated. It seems like you apply that logic of because you just said, I want to take my time in Bellator for what it is now, right? Now look ahead to contract. Do you apply that sort of, focus on this fight, if you will, like logic to everything in life? Are you like a live in the moment kind of guy?
Yeah, to be honest, I was just chatting to Jamie here as well, saying that as well because, and actually, I have to give credit to my girlfriend Lauren. She'd actually be very like that. She'd be like, because I'm all go, and she'd be like, just slow down, relaxing, So I suppose like little things like that, like, and just things that happen in life, whether it be fights and stuff, and looking too far ahead, and I definitely do because even in the gym, you have a bad day, you know tomorrow's a new day, the way, and don't. And if you have a good day, don't be celebrating that too much, or don't be celebrating a win or a loss too much, or if you get caught by this guy in that gym that day, or you did well this day, don't be thinking, just live each day, live each day, and everything will take care of itself. Because when I've in the past looked too far ahead, that's when you're anxious. Then the way you're not even living in the moment what you can do now, if that makes sense. This is me putting into words, and it comes across weird. Not that, but like that's how I would live every day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great perspective to have, right? And it's always good to have a nice companion by your side to, give you that support and give you, I guess, ideas like that, right? So that's good to hear, man. Yeah. So, speaking of a little stuff outside the cage here, I see you fancy pit bulls, right? I'm a big pit bull fan myself, and the competitions and all that. Is that you're into that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man, it's something I kind of it's like that's like my hobby, that's
Yeah.
like my hobby apart from fighting, and I love I've XL American bullies, and I've two. I have a male, he's 5, Kaiser. He's oh god, he's the
So
dog.
he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's 50 kilo, 8 stone. He's 100 and say
Wow.
114 pounds. He's a big dog, and then I have a female in him as well, a Khaleesi, and yeah, like they're the type of dogs that actually change your life. They're not like pets, like they actually change your life, So it's actually opened up so many other things in my life, and I've a whole other actually little community there that supports me with the fight and everything. It's brilliant, and I love training them and bringing them to shows and showing them, and he's had a few breedings, and it's just I enjoy it, It's a hobby. It's a hobby of mine, So it's I really enjoy it. And it's nearly like my downtime nearly, Bring the dogs every day and just switching off and at the fields for an hour and get a coffee and just relax, if that makes sense, and yeah, I really enjoyed it, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I think is funny is your dogs seem to be showmen like yourself, right? So that's kind of it works out.
Yeah,
Right?
anyway, but I like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
one last question, man. Anything, let's say any new fans tuning in to see you for the first time, right? What could they expect to see at Bellator Dublin?
Any new fans, I definitely expect I'm gonna, we all say this, and it's, a better version, new version. It's coming, but I really do feel in the last 6 months of, especially from the way the fight had went, and you know, looking back in hindsight and what I could improve, and I came out unscathed. I got straight back into the gym, and really started getting better. And each fight I really do, I hand in my heart, I feel, when you watch me and I'm doing such and such of a thing, or I really feel this time I'm actually like, a different fighter. As in, if you would have watched me last fight, no way, he wasn't doing that the last time, or maybe certain tendencies and that people look out for or whatever. But I don't even know if they do. But I mean, I definitely feel I've this time I have, like, more things in the locker, if that makes sense, to show. And it's just getting comfortable in there on the night. And I think George probably is the opponent to do that. Because he's good striking, he's good back, he's good everywhere. So he'll bring it the best of me, as in I'll have to show everything, if that makes sense. So whereas if you're just fighting a striker or just fighting a grappler, you're just going to see one or the other. Whereas feel this time I'll have to really bring it the best of myself to beat him.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We got Bellator 285 in Dublin. You can catch him in action. It's going to be a great fight. We're looking forward to it. Thanks again for joining the show, and best of luck in Bellator Dublin.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me on.